Hey, all right.
Thanks for coming.
No problem. Welcome you guys from DC.
Thank you.
My name is DiGiacomo. I'm an Apple professional in the area. Almost 30 years with Apple as a field tech, audio video professional. I guess you call them roadies for concerts. I used to fly the rigs for different venues. So I did a lot of things throughout my life. And tonight is a little different than most of my talks. Most of my stuff is on cybersecurity, cyber defense. Talking about keeping yourself safe, as he was talking about earlier, about your passwords and your backups. But home automation, and as you see up there, it says running amok. Now, everything is crossing streams in the computer industry. So everything is now connected. I mean, officially connected. What we're going to talk about tonight, and you don't have to worry about if you can see the slides or not. I mean, I'm going to send the thing to George, but a lot of it's just informational. We're going to talk about what to expect from home automation this coming year for 2018, pros and cons of some of the different things that I've discussed. You're going to learn something new about IFTTT, and that looks like a lot of weird letters, but it actually means something pretty scary. We have oceans of endless technology, which I was talking with a few of you earlier. So many things are connected, and so many things coming our way. Let's just say the vendors are waiting for us to open up our wallets and spend some money. There's a lot of toys out there to play with. The big thing we'll cover is some of the vulnerabilities as we delve in the world of these toys. So basically, what are connected homes? So just in this diagram alone, what we're seeing is just how today's homes, little light bulbs, the AC units, the window shakers, the computers, the clocks, the crock pot, coffee maker, the faucets themselves, washers and dryers, everything is now starting to connect to the internet. Not sure why these things have to be connected to the internet, but they're starting to connect. And believe it or not, there's going to be an app on every tablet, phone, and computer to have access and control these things, not just from your present position in your home or business, but as well as being remotely. Some of you live in other states that have homes you'll be able to control from far away. More ways than one. I just showed you some of the things as far as how to control things, but these are the sensors that will, come back on. Well, not really good, get back. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that'll help. Give me a second. Okay. Now we get to have sensors in place to talk to everything. So you have occupancy sensors, people in the room, lights turn on. You leave the room, lights turn off. They have actually sensors in movie theaters will tell you how many seats are actually full, so whether or not they can say, hey, doors are locked, movie theater's full, find the next one, or wait till the next movie, or hey, come on inside, there's plenty of seats. You'll get motion sensors, which we have with our security systems, but you're also going to have live streaming of just TVs. A lot of us have that right now. Video cameras, night vision. Smoke sensors, leak sensors are going to be connected to everything from dishwashers, your water heaters, AC units. So there's a lot of stuff going to be connected. And when this stuff is working, it's great to keep track of all your stuff. And if there's a problem, then it helps you fix things. So how smart is your home? How many in here have actually got some smart stuff in their house? All right, a few of you. What do you have in your house?
Lutron.
Lutron? Very good. And we'll talk about some of the companies and the manufacturers that support a lot of the different technology for home automation. It's really simple what smart technology is. Basically, it's having your appliances, you're connecting with them on more of a personal level than just like, hey, as a kid, going to the refrigerator 100 times to see if something new popped in there. We've all done it growing up. Now you'll be able to hit an app and say, gee, Mom didn't buy any peanut butter, and you'll be able to see that, not have to get up out of your chair. It might be good in some respects, bad in others. But it's kind of nice. There'll be a lot of conveniences with the technology. It's coming a long way. There's so many products out there. From, as you can see here, you got the Roomba vacuum that sweeps the floors all by itself. You got the Philips, the light bulb systems. Everything can be controlled from lots of different tablets and apps. Some of these tablets and apps are made by, like Lutron has a controller, Crestron, we'll talk about some other companies. The Ring doorbell. I just threw some things up here to see. Even up top, the AC system. You can shunt airflow to rooms before, once the AC system's in, you had to get up on a ladder and try to adjust a little thing or call the AC guy up. Now you would say, hey, too cold in here, I don't know why this room's so cold, hit a button, and you can start closing vents just from your phone. I mean, there's so many cool things that are coming our way. And basically, from your phone, you have access to everything. From doorbells, to door locks, to sound systems, thermostats. It's nice. Arlo, that's actually the cameras I use in my business. It's nice. For my phone, I can look at my home and my business, just all the cameras. Anything happens with the motion sensors, they record, and I'll talk to you what that IFTTT means later, because it affects the cameras. This is where it starts to run amok. This is where it goes goofy. So the gentleman over there mentions Lutron. They're a company that makes a lot of the light switches and controls. Now they're making the behind-the-scenes switches, controllers, and hubs that connect to apps over Wi-Fi, over the internet, or cellular to your devices to control them. Remember the old days? Who remembers? Clap on, right? That was the first high-tech stuff. I think I still have one somewhere. Pretty sure my parents have. But that was the high-tech of the day, okay? We had simple remotes that were just infrared or RF, you know. They went to a couple basic things. Life was simple. You didn't have much to worry about. You had batteries in the remote. You got up, you got to adjust the TV antennas, add a little more foil, turn it to the east or west to get a better picture on certain stations. It was simple, but you had to get out of your chair, okay? You had to go up and see what was in the fridge. You had to go check the dishwasher. These things you had to do on your own. New school, man, everything's integrated. Everything's talking to everything, and these great companies, like you'll see Savant, Crestron, Control4, Honeywell, Lutron. That's just some of the big ones, but there's a lot of little companies getting involved in controlling your stuff. And you can control everything.
What's the name of the fan?
If I'm allowed to say it, it's a big-ass fan. That's what they call it. That's the name of the company.
Big ass?
Big-ass fans. Quick story off the subject, which they had control for this. The Hummer dealership, because I don't know if they felt part of this. When the DeVoe had a dealership up on Bonita Springs, it's one of the actual Hummer dealerships they built. Well, when they built it, they put two of these big, massive, big-ass industrial fans. I mean, wider than helicopter rotors. That's how big, and they had like 10 blades on each one. They took up the whole ceiling on both sides. Well, I bought the car on a Friday. I had to come back in on Monday to do some extra stuff. When I got there, I thought there was a drive-by shooting. They had plywood up, the doors were closed, you had to go in the rear entrance. I couldn't figure out what the hell happened. I said, somebody shoot your windows out? The guy goes, oh no, you're gonna love this. He says the clowns that come in and clean at night, they want to see how fast they can get these fans to go. So while I'm talking to the guy, there's a guy over there with a lock and a drill on the fan box and a paint line going, do not go past 2. They turned it up to 10. That thing had such a velocity, it sucked the hurricane glass, windows, and door front into the showroom, smashed every vehicle they had, ruined everything, shattered the guy's goose that you sit in for, you talk to these salesmen. It looked like a bomb went off on the inside. I could not believe it. So maybe if they had an app, they could see what the kids were doing.
So you're not supposed to turn it up to 10?
No, those will take off. They do get lift.
That made me think, when you had that fan going on, that could be a horror movie. You could hack in there before you know it, that fan would go bananas, like you just told the story.
You know what? If you just talk, you're going to start believing it. Smart technology, this is what it kind of looks like in a nutshell, stuff behind the scenes. I mean, you could do everything from nurse call boxes, there's metering for all your sprinkler systems and other irrigation controls, media controls, a lot of people have that for their homes. Hospitality systems, you know, for people in the hotel industry. They know what's going on in and out of each person's room, where they're at in the dining rooms, where they're at the facilities, the pool centers. They can maintain everything. It's just motorized controls. How many have shutters that go up and down by pushing of a button? And now you can do that remotely. But there's a lot of controls, a lot of sensors, a lot of equipment, a lot of wiring behind the scenes to give us this wireless access. And a lot of companies involved with different things.
Dennis, is the young lady in the chair on the left on the bottom, is she part of it?
I think she's the one that caused the problems. That's what I'm blaming. So, and I know you can't see this, and I don't want you to, but the whole point of this is, these are just a handful I could fit on one window of just all the different control apps, like Nest Thermostat, Wemo from Belkin. There's a whole bunch of smart things we'll talk about later. Wally, the Lutron's up here, Savant, Crestron. These are the gazillions of apps of all the different types of products on the market and an app that attaches to them. and all the features that go with it. So pretty soon you'd be paging through your iPad trying to find which one turns the sprinklers on because there's just that much crap. Now, I don't expect you all to read this, but here's some of the pros. So I'm going to give you the good stuff with the bad stuff. The good stuff is energy efficiency. This is kind of nice. So you're not sure, hey, is the AC running all the time? So that way you can check, hey, if you're at the golf course, I didn't know if the kids mess with the AC, you can check it and say, hey, it's 68 in the house. I don't need to be 68 in one's home. You can bump up a few buttons, and it should be right where it needs to be. You can check on things that way. That just gives you an idea. And then that way, not just that, whether you're wasting water. Is my irrigation system going off? Is it, you can check a lot of different things. So energy efficiency, we're trying to get better. The catch-22 to that, though, is for as much energy efficient I say we're going to be, we're plugging more and more crap into a wall, like the guy is back there, just to charge something. But this is, we're all connected now, right? So in order to have all these cool features, we don't have to waste more electricity because more stuff has to be connected. Now, in my last talk for cybersecurity, we're talking about how hackers are mining Bitcoins and they're taking wireless routers, even yours in your own house while you surf the web, and they're turning it into a peer-to-peer network to help mine Bitcoins. Well, New Zealand, they did a study at MIT, in all the power from nuclear power plant with the Kellyvec in New Zealand, that atomic reactor produces in 1 year in 2017, will be, just that alone will be used just in mining Bitcoins. Well, imagine that same energy amount is going to be used just for us to power our devices and all our attached things for the internet. I mean, that's from electric cars to all the different devices that need to be plugged into something. Old homes never had enough outlets. Today's homes, I think there's going to be just outlets everywhere you walk. They're going to be tethered to something. Remotely monitoring your home. It's nice, like the gentleman said here, he travels, so it's nice to see what things are going on down here or up north wherever you travel. It's great. A friend of mine just went to DC, no kidding, this week, and his parents are staying in their house while they're gone, and they have some people checking on them, but his wife literally herself, do it yourself, ordered some 5 cameras, they pan, tilt, and zoom, they're at the house, and he said, hey, right before I left, look, I can check on mom and dad. That's kind of a nice peace of mind. So it's kind of cool. The bottom line that goes with it is convenience. There's a lot of cool stuff out there, they're convenient, and they're easy to set up, which is great because at the end of the day, when you buy something, you don't want to have to try to hire me to figure it all out for you when it's something everybody should be able to do. So those are some good pros for us having the automation. The cons, remote monitoring, as they're saying, half these camera systems, they get hacked pretty easy. So a lot of these devices have their own internal transmitters, receivers, their own security things, but they can easily be bypassed. And if I can bypass that, which is already connected to your network, now I get into your network. So I was stating earlier to a gentleman, you can lock down your network, your computer's safe, the firewall's good, the router, nobody's getting in it, that's great. But if I can get into a security camera, which is connected to the wireless network, which now gets me into your hub, now I can control your stuff. So the flaws in remote monitoring are somewhere else. Not to mention other people can spy on you. Baby monitors, you can see what's going on in someone else's house by turning in just the right channel on your TV. You can see what the neighbors are doing, or listen to them. Complexity is the biggest one because there's so much involved behind the scenes as far as wiring and putting things in. Some people do the real basic things like the Arlo cameras, which I use. They're wireless. You walk up, you hit the Bluetooth button on the thing, you hold it next to it, it turns blue. I stick up on the wall and I look to the phone and say, okay, it's where I want it. I'm happy. Real simple, real convenient. A lot of other ones take a lot more work than that. And then the complexity part is now you got to hire somebody, which falls into the next line of things, expense. Now you're spending money on things to keep after. Not to mention, there's an incompatibility of systems, which is the bottom one, which means a lot of folks have old stuff they want connected to the new stuff, and it doesn't always work. I got that old iPad, it's 9 years old, runs High Sierra, but for some reason I can't, that Bluetooth transmitter won't talk to a Bluetooth device I just bought today because it's a different version and it will not be updated. So then what we end up doing is buy interim devices that kind of mediates the old stuff in between the new stuff to get something to work, and now we're just wasting money. So again, it's this vicious cycle of expense, complexity, and incompatibility of systems. And you guys all know that whatever's introduced in January today, this year, 2018, by December is dead and buried. I mean, the dog year phenomenon is crazy with electronics. So that's the hard part. So knowing when to get into something, research, look into things. A lot of these companies actually all have good products now, so there's enough information on the internet that you can say, hey, I want to do the Arlo home monitoring system, or do I want the Arrow or ubiquitous wireless routers for my house. And there's enough research out there to find, plus there's like a group like the Mac group, people like me you can come talk to, and we'll help get the right products for your home and business. Not necessarily the Geek Squad. They're trying to sell what they have in the house. Okay, so that IFTTT stuff I told you about, it's if this, then that. That's simple what it means. I know you're like, what the hell is this crap? It is kind of funny, but the more I read about it, it was crazy. This is a free way to get all your apps and devices talking with each other simply. So imagine if I tweet on Twitter, right? It's a little joke to President Trump. Therefore, if this, then it will order me a Domino's cheese pizza every time I send him one. And that sounds silly, but you can do that. You can make it talk to another app and say, hey, order me a cheese pizza every time I send a tweet to the president. Not that anybody wants to do that, but the whole point is this is what's available. So between all the different apps out there, your Harmony remotes, you can say, hey, if my sprinkler system doesn't turn on this morning, then it will notify my Evernote app to leave me a note to tell me I didn't turn on in the morning. So there's so many things, and now you can have Alexa do things. We can say, if I tell Alexa to turn on the lights in the living room, it may then tell the alarm clock in my son's room to buzz the Lakers blood up. These are things you can do. I know it sounds petty, but it's endless with one app to another. But it's just not simple things. There's a ton of stuff out there that's all connected to this, a ton of things. And it's endless. You can say, hey, every time I flush the toilet, it shocks my wife when she's operating a microwave. These are things you can actually make them do. It sounds silly, but there's the interconnectivity of all these apps, and it's free. A lot of companies are harnessing them, and then the little apps and the downloads you can get for them, you can control a lot of products. Between not just your social media, but your home electronics, they're coming together. Like I said, everything's crossing streams now. And more things, and this is for more problems down the road because everything's crossing streams. And SmartThings app makes that happen, and that's one of the big things I showed up there. A lot of things are becoming SmartThings certified, so of course Alexa's one of them, Amazon, Google Assistant, so there's a lot of things out there. Siri's lagging behind, and I'm sure she'll catch up. So now, this is just kind of one of those diagrams that shows you, there's the Amazon Echo, got Google Home, and everything's now connected, even solar panels. I mean, so it's all controlled. I mean, down here in the picture you can't see it, but I have a, let's see, washer, dryer, the water heater, I'm not sure, that might be the humidifier, I got the whole furnace system here. It's all wireless. We never had this stuff before. You know, I used to tell people, I said, well, it's kind of nice and all, but, you know, the Nest thermostat, a lot of people like them. I think they're nifty. But the token I have a problem with is when I bought my nice Lennox home system, spent $15,000, had the whole the crap done, ductwork and everything, they gave me a nice Honeywell controller. Guy programmed it, asked me some questions, boom, it was set. I barely see that thing ever. In fact, I forget what wall it's on half the time. And every now and then I change the batteries, but it's set, it does it. I don't have to worry about the temperature in the house. Really don't. It's kind of nice. The Nest, I have it, if we put it in, it's $300 or $200, some money you're spending. It looks cool and all, it's neat. I think it's fascinating, cool stuff, but has to be connected to my internet router. If the Wi-Fi goes down, I can't control it from anything, right? We live in Florida, right? We have FPL, flicker, phase, and light. We have issues with those guys quite often. Hurricanes show up, and nothing works when power's not running. So, and even if it does happen, the gentleman lives out of state, so he's watching his house, the temperature's good, everything's great, and all of a sudden, Comcast goes out, CenturyLink fails, guys cut the line when they were digging for sprinklers in the neighbor's yard, broke your stuff. Now you get no monitoring to your house. Now, is my heating or AC not running? Because if the thing's not communicating, is it actually keeping track of itself? You know, that can happen. So all of a sudden now it's heating the house when it's not supposed to, or cooling it, or therefore doing nothing, sitting idle, and down here you get that airflow, or you get mold. I mean, these are things that you have to look at in our neck of the woods. So it's like that for any device. So you have to make sure that once it's connected, it's one more thing for us to police and maintain. The biggest thing, because I'm a cyber guy, is smart home vulnerabilities. There's a lot. the first generation Nest controller, because we're on the top of it, just a little thermostat, simple as this, I love that thing, I really do. But the first generation, they're not really updating it, right? There's limited patches, but there's flaws, exploits, and holes in the architecture of the product. So because there is, so if I got a rock solid network, let's just say I'm Hertz rental car up in the stereo, right? I got the brand new facility, got Nest on the walls, but they're all generation 1s when we're not generation 4s. So they're all on the wall. Well, if a hacker wants to get into Hertz, he can't get past the firewalls, the security system, the armed guard, you ain't getting into that facility. But if he's out in the parking lot, you can find a Nest with a vulnerability or a thermostat, because you can scan multiple systems. Now you got a way to get into the system because it is connected to the network. And once you break the small door, now you get into the big door. And these are the vulnerabilities that a lot of businesses and homes don't think about. Now, for the most part, no one's really trying to hack into your house. And I like to be honest up front, but that's, if any of us are that famous or important, that they really want our stuff, they're just going to come in and take it. Otherwise, no one's going to sit out in the yard, with the parabolic dish listening for you talking, and they're not trying to use a Wi-Fi sniffer and see what network you're on or what you named your network. People just aren't doing it. But, it does give you an example that a lot of things are coming and going so fast, they're not being maintained far as the standpoints of things. There's no globalization of communication protocols or standards between all kinds of communications, from Bluetooth to Wi-Fi to cellular to satellite GPS. Near field communications, it's endless. Frequencies, the bandwidth is getting more narrow as the FCC squeezes all this great technology into a tiny little parameter for frequency use, and it gets hard. So it's everyone's rushing to get their technology out to you. They want you to open up that wallet so you can have their stuff and enjoy the fun that they're creating. But there's problems behind the scenes. The biggest one is just like the guy frustrated scratching his head. There's not enough time to hurry up and do adequate testing for safety and security, because they want to hurry up and get it out there. People don't want to hear, hey, you had 6 months to get this out there, let's go. I mean, think about it. Apple makes a comment about we're going to have facial recognition. Boom, Samsung's like, we already have facial recognition. No, you didn't. You didn't have it until Apple said something. They just scrambled as quick as they could to throw something into a phone for their product and try to get it to market, because we know the iPhone's not coming out for another 3 months. Samsung comes out sooner with their stuff. Not as good, but the point is, they tried to say, hey, we had it first. They didn't. Everybody's waiting for Apple to make a move on a lot of things. Non-secure communications, like I said, that's an issue. There's an inadequate authentication procedures, which leads to it also being very vulnerable to hackers. A lot of times people buy something that has an intended purpose, but when they hook it up or install it, it has a different purpose. Does that make sense? Let's see. You have a thermometer that's made to go in a refrigerator to monitor the temperature, which is a cold-based thermometer that's NSF certified, but then they stick it in the grill that gets up to 1,000 degrees for whatever reason, and it melts. Okay? Not intended for that. So when it comes to technology, people say, well, I bought the stuff for this, but in reality I'm going to do it for that. Or I didn't know how to hook it up the right way, so I just did it this way. Everybody wants the easy way out. Say, well, I guess this works. I'll just plug this wire in here. Doing something, I think. I can't tell you how many times people go out when I ask them to buy an external hard drive for backups. You go to the store and go, Western Digital, okay? Yeah, it's fine. I talk to them later. Did you plug it in? Oh, I plugged it in. To back it up? Oh, it's doing something. Did you push anything? Is the time machine going? Oh, I don't know, I just plugged it in. So they're in the assumption. So if I never called and talked to them and walked them through it, 2 months down the road when they had an issue, they said, well, it's been plugged in the whole time, but it never did anything. So it's actually kind of funny, because it's just, we all go for the simple plug-and-play stuff. And if you just look here, Juniper Research updated their stuff this year. Let's see, devices and applications will reach $195 billion in money by year 2021. And I can't tell you how many billions. Let's see, there's an estimated 30 million households are expected to add all smart technology, and there are billions of devices out there. So imagine all this stuff has to talk, communicate to all your apps and devices and whatever else you want it to do. So while we're trying to figure out how to operate our own damn cameras and make the lights dim and make that TV come on and the microwave to do whatever it's supposed to do, you got the clowns behind the scenes trying to break stuff, right? You got your white hat hackers, which are the good guys, trying to figure out, hey, we got a product here, let's see if we can make it better, if we can break into it. Okay, those are good guys. The black hats, the blue hats, the red hats, and a couple other hats in between, they're the jerks. They're the ones that say, we're taking it down at all costs, and they do. So, but, you know, MIT, they just, they have recent security camera system, I think they looked at 100 different, or 20 different models for home systems, and device security, and I think they cracked 12 out of 16 in 3 hours. That's the latest product stuff. Doesn't make you feel too good, you know, when, that's just MIT people trying. Imagine what the real hackers can do. Don't forget, a lot of this stuff, this technology doesn't just end up, the Nest system is residential, but they also make commercial stuff. The problem is people buy the home stuff and they put it in the office because they want to save money. A lot of vulnerabilities there, especially in offices that you have HIPAA violations, best practices like law firms, doctors' offices. Nobody wants to spend money, and I honestly don't blame them. But in the same breath, you're also now it's a whole different day and time. We're held to a different standard, so we have to really protect ourselves. Let's see, what do we got here? Go right ahead up there. Oh. So they just basically say these are just some of the points that that are important. This is what they're saying is always change your password. Every so often they recommend that. Don't share your serial numbers or IP addresses. But most people that's not an issue. But what happens is a lot of times, how many have gotten robo phone calls at home that says there's something wrong with your computer? Let me in, let me fix it. Okay, if you haven't gotten one, you will get one soon, and it won't leave you alone. These guys are a pain in the ass. But people give them IP addresses. They let them into computers. And then once they get in, they can see what else your computer's connected to. Because if they can get into your Lutron system by getting into your Mac or Windows, and then they can copy another layer. In fact, the scariest one I just saw recently for a client, they put a Norton secure VPN in her Windows computer. Actually, it's a virtual private network tunnel between them and her. And the problem was, it was already installed, there's no uninstaller for it. So I had to go through a lot of crap just to try to find out where this VPN was tunneling out of her computer and shut down those ports. It's a pain in the ass. But she had let somebody in over the phone, they went to her computer, they charged her $600, and they left a lot of crap behind, and it's terrible. And they also went through her passwords. They were in her one password. She had another one called Data Vault they'd gone through. So she spent time freezing her credit with the credit bureaus and trying to change all her damn passwords and security questions, which we all have a lot of time in our free time to do, right? So it's getting harder and harder every day, just trying to stay on the straight and narrow. Just a reminder, Apple, Microsoft, Dell, Google, and these giants will never, ever, ever call you at home unless you actually have an actual open repair order that you're expecting the phone call. They will never call you. Not that we're not special, they're just not going to call you. The IRS will never call you. They're touchy-feely. They want to come knock on your door and serve you papers. They're the friendly kind. So up here, a little bit of the safety side, Department of Homeland Security and underwriters laboratories have to get involved. Since 2013, these guys have been collaborating together going, hey man, we got a lot of problems out there because there's so many issues with not just home security and work security, we have national security because it's global. And I'll show you the diagram later how it's all products, all entities, all places. So they kind of come up with some guidelines as far as security parameters are concerned for big companies to follow. And that's just something to look at later, and I'll send George the PDF for you all to see. But it's just basically there's 6 big security principles, but it's whether or not that people are actually going to look at it, and actually going to follow these things. Like I said, people are trying to get the vendors are trying to get their product to market. They don't want to really take time to make everything safe. They have a cybersecurity assurance program. It's called CAP, done by the Underwriters Laboratory. But if you look at UL, they're behind everything, not just the UL listing on electrical appliances. I mean, they go into so many different things. They're into farming. It's like OSHA. They're everywhere. And there's so many fields that this stuff is going to be susceptible to, because right now, how many farmers actually drive their equipment anymore? They don't. Half of those combines, everything running out there, it's all fly-by-wire. Those guys are sitting in drinking coffee, and those things are out running the fields. It's absolutely amazing. They've been for quite some time. So imagine what old technology they're getting rid of to have new technology coming. Let's see, general departments. Let's see, I want that thing up. Okay, here we go. So it's a step in the right direction, really, between what everybody's trying to get involved as far as the DHS and the underwriters. But basically, by them trying to give the global trying to start some global standards and protocols, especially on safety and security. Then when it comes time to having control of your home, your office, just with lighting and sound and just security, everything's supposed to work and feel safe that it's going to work and not opening up to vulnerabilities. This is the big one here because this is where everything's connected. I mean, it's any service, any business, any path, any network, anytime, anywhere, any context, any device, social media, to hard wires, to even pretty soon we'll be thinking it, and it's going to be doing something. So, I mean, that's how connected everything is now. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to get myself on the grid. No, you're on the grid. We're in the grid. We're not going anywhere. And it's going to reach further places throughout the country, especially areas that aren't as popular in, in technology that the cities are. I mean, your rural places that have the little podunk towns of 7 people, they're going to have this high-tech communication soon. It's reaching further and further. All right. So there's some of the problems. Like I said, we're going to be using copious amounts of electricity. I mean, unfreaking real. All of us, how many things you guys can you think of in your heads? How many things you plug in at night to charge up for the next day? A lot of stuff. How many things we leave on all the time, right? Monitoring and doing things. A lot of things. Think of this. I grew up, we had a party line in the house, we had a rotary phone, finally went to a touch-tone phone. We had one phone number. Mine was 412-621-8469. Still remember that from, being a kid. Today, all these devices are going to have freaking phone numbers. I mean, to call out. I mean, all these hunting cameras, they work on cellular, they're assigned a phone number. So we're going to have more cities are going to be adding more area codes within the cities just to assign more numbers just to devices and appliances and everything just to communicate. So phone numbers, just a phone network alone is already taxing a little bit. And we're still using the old RG6 coax cable and the regular phone lines. Very small wires carrying a lot of data. People want all their stuff connected in the house. You want to stream Titanic on Friday night in high def to the house. That's just one household sucking up and moving all this data. Imagine a whole city doing it. Imagine New York City, everybody trying to stream Titanic at the same time on a Friday night when it comes out. I mean, it's insane. And it's a wonder their grid holds it. But I don't know how much longer it's going to have. So they're working harder hand in hand with the people who built the power plants, making them better. The problem is frequency ranges are getting to be an issue because the FCC is so congested. They're putting us down in these narrow bands because they're trying to be more for the military, more for the building and professional industries. You have family radio services where everybody's all going to walkie-talkie and they work 10 miles or whatever. It's great and all, but we're all operating on the same bandwidth. This microphone. In fact, I bought 2 microphones from Shure. These are my older ones. Believe it or not, I kept them because they still work. These ones are about $3 grand a piece. This and that transmitter alone is $3 grand together. Okay. I bought 2 newer ones years ago, and they give me 1,400 stations. They're clear channel. If they hear somebody near me, they move me to the next frequency. I don't have to adjust nothing. It's all automatic. Crystal clear, perfect American Idols microphones. They were great. I got a letter from Shure that says, you got to turn them in. We'll give you some credit for them because the 600 megahertz bandwidth has been shut off to us. So we're either going to move you down some frequencies or move you up some frequencies. But where you're at right now, you got to send the equipment back. You're required to by law. Oh, that's great. So now I've got these great, and of course, do you think they give me full price of those ones? But to get the new ones, oh yeah, they're like $4,000 or $5,000. So if I buy 2 of those, I got 10 grand in microphones. So thank God the old ones have the under frequencies and they still work. So sometimes, planned obsolescence, it's good to keep some things around if they still work in your end of the day. More industries will become automated. And we're not just talking about things that people think of like, hey, General Motors has full automation with robots. That's one way of thinking. I mean, it's a global network from supply, demand, in the chain, from truck driver to the UPS guy who delivers it, the guy who put it in the box. It's all automated these days, and it's getting more so. At nighttime at Amazon, the lights are turned off, you hear a lot of noise, and nobody's working the floors except the robots. They're the ones going shelf to shelf, picking up products on a conveyor belt, put them in a box, and put them in a truck that somebody's driving away. All done by automation. Pretty soon, we'll see the drones will be dropping things off pretty shortly. So, and then the hackers have gone wild because everybody wants to say, I hacked that system. The FBI right now is up to 2,000 agents to hack in Apple's operating system. It says a lot about Apple. Every day they can't get into the site. And they're begging Apple for backdoors. Apple's not giving in. I respect that. But, other systems like Android from Google, it's an open system, easy to be hacked, and got a lot of holes in it, which is not good. Artificial intelligence, look at Alexa. She's always listening, always listening. And now they're able to say, you can be able to do continuance, where you'll be able to say things like, instead of going, Alexa, what time is it? Alexa, tell me a joke. Alexa, you don't have to, you can say, Alexa, set a note on the calendar for March 3rd at 2 p.m. to pick up my son. Also, order 2 pizzas from Domino's and call my wife. That's a run-on sentence. She'll be able to decipher that and carry this out. This is where we're going next. It's almost going to become like as if I'm talking to you guys, we're talking to our devices. And sadly enough now, most of y'all came in here with your devices and you're holding them, right? Because it's like a kid with a pacifier. Can't put that sucker down, right? We're stuck with these things. Pretty sad. But you're going to see full cross-integration with all smart technology to all things, and bold and new. So it's going to be cool. We'll see what happens. Let's see, what else am I looking at? Everything's going to be automated. So when that happens, when I showed you everything running amok, this is going to happen. We're going to have all automation. Now, how many have seen the Pixar movie, WALL-E? Okay, you know what I'm talking about then. Those of you who haven't, just do Comcast On Demand or rent it. You got to watch WALL-E, because when we get to the end of this, you're going to see what I'm talking about. We're headed the wrong direction. See, we used to play outside as kids, run around, climb trees, do all that kind of great stuff. Not so much anymore, because everything's going to be automated. Everything. So when that happens, this happens. So
That's what we look like already.
yeah, and the couch potato is just going to get worse. And the little button up there basically says manual or auto. The whole thing of the movie was to get it from auto into manual so people can kind of get up and start walking again, using their legs. Because think about it now, if the way things are going to go, you're really not going to have to get off the couch much, except, even Comcast remote, you don't even have to push the damn buttons, except for one going, put on Full House. It's on. Hey, look at that. I love it. No, I said Seinfeld. I love it. It's a cool thing and it works everywhere. And I agree. I love this great technology. It's a lot of fun. Wish my grandfather was here to see some of this stuff because he'd really get a kick out of it. The problem is, with all the good stuff coming and neatness to it, the James Bond kind of stuff we're getting for ourselves, we're going to pay a price at some point. So, at the end of the day, is it worth automating, stepping into the future of that? It's solely up to you. And I think it's a good thing. I think if you want to do home monitoring, you want to control your window treatments, you want to check your irrigation systems, you want to check on mom and dad, things like that, temperature controls, absolutely. Because why not? It's available. That technology is pretty much tried and true. It's been around a while. It's worth having. Some of the other heavy stuff, down the line, maybe not. It just depends. If you got the money, you want to do it, the initial investments aren't that bad for some things. Other things, it's going to cost a lot more money. But do your homework, just don't jump into it, research it. There's enough information out there from a lot of you folks that you can actually do it. So I would just say, hey, good luck and happy automating. There's so much we can talk about in the field because there's just too many devices. I didn't want to spend too much time on somebody's specific brand, whether it's Amazon's Alexa, Google's Home Assistant, Lutron, Crestron, Savant. These are some big ones in people's homes. You walk up to a wall and you hit a button and everything's changing. Today's Control 4, I looked at one of their apps, the guy was doing his blinds, the temperature, talking to the coffee pot, and it's all attached to one thing. Crock pots now are on Wi-Fi. The one that was on a Consumer Electronics Show, I should have put the slide up, I just forgot to do it, it was on my mind. Samsung has made a desktop dishwasher. It's about a box about this big, just a rectangle, that's all it is. It's got a big, beautiful button on it that says Samsung in their logo. And you put the dishes in, you add a little water, a little soap. You could push the power button, but why? You have to go get your phone, find the app, push it, and go, okay. It says Wi-Fi enabled desktop dishwasher. That's the actual title. Now, I got in an argument with the lady. I wired up her house in Port Royal, and everything talks. Crock pots, coffee pots, washer, dryer, it's all freaking wireless, and it just freaks me out. So she's talking about the dishwasher, and she's like, oh, this thing's so cool. I can do it from my phone. I said, just go with me on this. And I said, so, you pre-rinse your dishes? Yeah. You stack them in nicely where you want? Said yes. You get out the Cascade, you get out the jet dry? Yeah, okay. As you bring the door up, You either push the button on top, the button on the front, or you turn it off, it's the cheaper model, and then you walk away, right? When it's done, you just open it up and put stuff away. Oh no. She goes through all those motions, closes the door, then reaches over, gets her phone and goes, so, that's what we're doing now. Go with the phone, which you could just push the button right there. So, in some respects, this is where I think we've gone a little goofy with technology. Now, honestly, I thought the crock pot thing was really stupid. Guess who wants one? My wife. I was bitching about it yesterday, like, she saw me after this crock pot. She goes, oh, that sounds great. I'm like, we're not kidding. She goes, no, I think I want one. I'm like, okay, here we go. So I'm going to have a smart crock pot. I'll probably be the first one in Naples to get one. So this is where we're headed. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. If you guys have questions, feel free to call me. There's a lot of good information out there. I also work with TAS, which is Total Automation Solutions. They're a good home audio, video, high-end company. They do all communication stuff. These guys are brilliant. They program all the big stuff. They can tell you the ins and outs, what's the pitfalls, what's good and bad in some of these products. At the end of the day, I'll install anything you want me to install, but I'm also the person that's going to be your good conscience to say, look, don't waste the money if it's not worth doing. You know, I want you to have a good purpose. If you say, hey, look, because I can, then hey, more power to you, I'm with you on that ride. But if it's something you don't really think you need, or like, well, I'm teetering whether I should get this or that, let's look at your end-term goal. But a lot of stuff that's simple is like the lighting, right? You put those little adapters on a wall, and the Wemo bell can hit a button, and boom, the lamps go on. That stuff is fun. That stuff is kind of cool. You can change the color for holidays. There's some really cool things out there, the LEDs especially. But it's solely up to you guys. Anybody have any questions?
I just am curious. I just sat here and I'm shaking my head. And, of the age group, where's the cutoff right now? I mean, all of this is not for me.
Well, I tell you what,
There's some of it is, yes, and it makes sense.
well, you know, I have a lot of older clients who have, like, a buddy of mine does marine construction. They got apps out of control the boat lifts that go up and down. So you can drop a boat in the water just by hitting your phone without having to go out and actually control these things. There's a lot of technology out there, and it depends upon what you have. Communicate with some of these guys who got boats, they communicate with the boat, all the boat apps, all the stuff on the boat. Age is not really a difference because the kids pick it up naturally, they just fall into it, they don't know any different. We're the ones playing catch up going, oh, or we say, hey, that sounds nice, I wouldn't mind having that's a pain in the ass to, do this with the light, do the light switches over there, I'll just hit my app and then the light goes on. Or you put a sense in the room as you walk in, hey, the light goes on, I left, the light goes off. So there's a lot of pluses and minuses to things. Age group wise, I think it's everybody because it's benefiting not just that elderly folks are getting things because it makes it easy when the toilet seat can go up and down for when you get older. You know, is it well, it's big for some people. AIM is a whole other issue. Can't help you with that, guys. But there's a lot of things just in healthcare alone. The medical side of things is blowing up. I mean, the magic that Arthrex does with the products they sell to make our more bionic and be able to get around and stay moving. There's enough apps out there to monitor mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, your own health. I mean, Apple's technology in their phones. I mean, pretty soon, at some point, we're going to all be wearing a watch that's going to upload stuff to 911 when we go down and probably call 911 for us and monitor us.
Also on the age difference, to me, and probably many of us, privacy is not the same as for the younger generation. The younger generation, you lose it, I'm not happy losing it. How can I find when I buy a light bulb that it doesn't have a microphone? Well, how can I find out that the light bulb doesn't have a...
That question comes up to most people I meet daily because they want to know, how do I know somebody's not spying on me? I can't tell how many offices I walk into, there's a big piece of tape or whiteout right over the camera because like, I don't want them seeing me. I'm like, they can still hear you. And they go, they can't have my little microphone's right next to it. I'm like, oh, yeah. So yes, listen, for the basic hacker, they're not going to be listening and monitoring. Those who really want to do things can. There's a lot of stuff that's hidden, like antivirus, anti-spyware, they don't catch so much, and you can't check all traffic. You can have, I have a protocol, little snitch that tells me what's coming in, what's going out of the network. But bottom line is this, it can't monitor things it doesn't know about, and a lot of these guys right at those levels. Honestly, we're taking for granted that Philips that Savant, Lutron, all these guys are following the DHS and the protocols with the underwriters that hopefully things are safe. Can that still, how do we know the level of whether or not they are or not? That, I could probably say that there's no way to know.
Let's say that those brands you mentioned do behave. And how do I find out where do I go to find out which are the brands? You had up there UL
listed, anything that's
Is
listed.
that right? UL 2900?
Yes.
Is that something to look for?
You can look for it, it'll say UL listed if it's electronic, it should have on a sticker, it might have the SA, but also have they'll probably tell you the 2900 is electronic. Should be there, doesn't mean it is or isn't. Remember, not everybody's gonna be in compliance, not everything is, it can be UL listed, just not to that standard. So it's up to the manufacturer, and the problem is, there's no way to know, there's a lot of knockoffs on things. How many remember the kids, they extend those little hoverboards, they're riding them all around? Well, they're expensive, they're about $600, but people have bought those, the knockoffs, for $300, and they're catching fire on people. And there's no way to know because they look identical to them, they act the same way. Like you, that's a good point for you. How do I know? I bought one for my kid for Christmas. I thought it was the good one, but it turned out to be the knockoff. Here's the thing that makes me mad, and I thought about this all the time. So Apple makes this great iPhone, right? Great product, tablets. All this information, the architecture and the blueprints to make this particular product for us, to our enjoyment for the rest of the planet, is built in China. Designed in Cupertino, built in China. Okay, great. How do we know that those are deciphering the blueprints to create the production process to create the phone at the end of the day? How do we know that they didn't alter it some way to put a monitoring chip or the doomsday chip that says, okay, now people have an iPhone, watch this, hit a button in China and all of our stuff quits working? Because if it's built into the wafer, into the chip itself, and we don't know it's there, because we're not pulling these things apart to find out, if it's undetectable, we can be in a world of hurt. So yeah, if you want to go to the nth degree with, oh my God, I'm going to just disconnect everything, go live in a tent out in the wilderness, a lot of people probably wouldn't mind doing that. But trust me, Google Satellite will still find you.
I'm only thinking that pragmatic in the next year.
It makes sense. I would just say, if anything, just read the reviews. Consumer Reports has a lot of good reviews. You can look up and just even ask the question while you search the product. What is the safety, any safety issues, any vulnerabilities? And there'll be sites out there that actually research it deeper and say, hey, this product test out to be okay. Or if you have this particular router, they don't recommend it. Maybe switch out the router. Okay.
Hey, James, what are the chances that our cars with all the electronics can be hacked, shut down?
100%.
100%. Yeah, I mean, even more than that, if you go over 100%. Absolutely, because, again, rush to market, not enough time for testing. Everybody's trying to, look at what Elon Musk has done with the rockets. You know, how many years does it take for NASA to get something? Actually, Jerry knows a lot of time to this, but how many years does it take to get a rocket done, gone, sent, for us to actually use it, hopefully everything launches properly? This guy is turning out massive rockets, getting things in space in a quick period of time. He's spending tons of money on AI. So many things are blossoming for this guy. But we're moving so fast, so forward, so quick, that there's a lot of vulnerabilities in the systems because they've not been tested over 10 years, over 5 years, over 20 years. We don't know. It's not like a drug test anymore, which is, okay, we've tested 100,000 people over 10 years. This drug has these side effects. It's safe or not safe, for whatever criteria is. We don't get that with electronics. They got to get it to market and see what happens because they want people buying it. Half the stuff's all patent pending because they're not even worried about patents. They just want to rush it out there as fast as they can. Cars are going to be bad. There's too many communications available. Like I said, you got Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, cellular, GPS, satellite, near-field communications. You know, a lot of that is already built into the car. Well, what version of Tesla did you have? Did you get the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one? You know, and again, are they going to patch it? Can they update it? Do you have to trade your car in to get the newest one? Well, then what happens to the old car? Somebody hit it, they're stuck with a vulnerability. So it's...
Well, there's newer technology one-to-one where cars are going to be talking to each other. You can avoid pedestrians, lights. There's another avenue for really bad hacking.
Well, that's what all your products, that's what the products are going to be talking to each other. So that's what you call situational awareness with AI. It's actually an AI. Actually, I didn't put one in. I had a light bulb that actually had a plug on it. He was plugging it in. Another light bulb says, no, you don't have to plug anymore. We have batteries. It was just kind of like that. Oh, we have something new. Artificial intelligence will be able to think for itself, understand its limitation, and then help determine a path to sustain itself, kind of like we're trying to live longer. Well, AI is going to do that. The rise of the robots, that whole Terminator stuff, is getting a little scary because we're headed that direction in more ways than one. But just on many things. It doesn't have to be the robot coming back from the future. No, but if your car goes rogue on you, right? A lot of cars don't have that automatic braking system. Well, what if it doesn't engage? What if they turn it off and the gas pedal hits the floor? See, the old cars, we all remember, had carburetors, and when you stepped on a pedal, the cable pulled the choke, and it opened up and the car went. Today's cars, that gas pedal is not touching anything. There's no cable. It's a drive-by-wire. Did you know a lot of cars, the steering wheel's not attached anymore? Yeah, see, everybody thinks the steering wheel has a steering column and linkage down to the front end. Oh no. A lot of cars that self-park are all done by servo. They don't have the linkage. So in theory, now the steering wheel as well as the gas pedal aren't connected. Airplanes don't have, this poor guy back here is ready, he's done. But airplanes are flying computers. The old days in movies when the guy goes, anybody fly the plane? I got it. Oh, he's fighting the plane, he's sweating. Today, it's all virtual computer servos. None of that stuff you do up in a cockpit even communicates by a cable, other than a data cable, a real cable, wire, hydraulics. This is all servos, computers talking to everything back there on the flaps and on the wheels and everything else. It's all computerized. And listen, it all works good. Computers are pretty reliable. But at the end of the day, it's the person behind the machine who programs the stuff. If somebody's not on the up and up, then it goes south.
Is it the case that the electronic server, the Alexis and the Google Home and the Amazon Echo are more vulnerable? Well, first of all, are they recording as well as receiving messages from the human speakers?
Always. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what Amazon's and Google's answer is. They say, well, we're not. They use different words, but they basically say they're listening, but they're not hearing. And people go, well, wait a minute, what do you mean by that? What they're basically saying is, if you walk in a room and you're talking, right now, if that thing was sitting right here on the table, I've been talking the whole time. It heard everything I said, it's heard everything anyone you guys have interjected. It's heard that. But and it's transmitting data to the server and back on, waiting for a response, because it does what they call pre-speculation. So I'm going to send stuff out, just in case I have to get asked on it, I can get to the information quick. The moment the words come out of Alexa or something close to Alexa, or like Siri, or if I can say seriously, Siri activates, she's listening. They're listening. There's a homicide case that they're working, and I forget what state it is, but basically it was listening, and they're trying to, it's been subpoenaed, they're trying to see what the servers have recorded, if anything.
Yeah,
but that means everything is listening. So again, in order to be preemptive, it has to know what's going on. It has to pre-speculate in order to help you. And I cannot believe, and honestly I can tell you, I'm impressed with Amazon Alexa. I cannot believe how well you can interact with this thing. So freely and openly, and she's accurate, and she's so quick in response. I tell you what, Apple's got, they came late to the game, and Apple has the first generation of the AI with Siri, but the guys who created it moved on to something called Viv. Between Google and Amazon's Alexa, there's AI it's advancing forward, but they're pretty impressive how well they really work.
So just to follow up, so if you say to Alexa now, today, get me a glass of water or turn on the light, as in this murder case that you're talking about, does she have the what I said to my husband 10 days ago?
Well, that's interesting. We don't know that for a fact. They're trying to find out. But what you're going to find out is, I'm sure Amazon, Google will do the same as Apple. Right? For personal privacy, you probably want to have access to those servers. Just like the NSA does, everything we send gets stored on their stuff.
Of course.
Listen, if they really want to have the stuff, they can. They all look for key markers and certain words and maybe throw a flag up for somebody. But realistically, we have gazillions, petaflops worth of data that's being stored that we're probably never ever going to access it for any means whatsoever. And even if you had legitimate argument to look for something, you've got to go through a lot of stuff just to find that particular device and get the information back. It's a lot of research. I don't know what the option would be.
So, you come down from north and you put your computer system and everything on vacation mode for $300, $20. But then you have to pay for the internet. Is there any way around, I mean, like your Arlo system, you have to pay for the internet to monitor your home, so you...
Yeah, well, I mean, you're paying no matter what, because so a lot of cameras now have the cellular built in. They say, don't worry about Wi-Fi, don't worry, worry about your like CenturyLink or Sprint. They actually have, it works off the cell system, so you can have like the hunters, they have a camera out in the middle of the wilderness, as long as it's got a cell signal, it's transmitting data from the feeders or from the game cameras back to people. A lot of people put game cameras up a lot of places because they're cellular and they're waterproof and actually do a great job with pictures. Plus you can record, and then, like for me, Arlo has I paid $9 a month or $10 a month, and basically it's everything, all my cameras, whatever data they record stays up there. I can always go back and play back something.
But you still have to be paying.
Everybody has to pay. Yeah, the days of free are kind of going away. Even if they get you in, they're going to charge you later. Like Dropbox, it's free for everybody. Now, it was 5 gigs down to 2 gigs. Now you really have to pay because you start using Dropbox. It works really well. Now you got to pay $10 a month.
Now, Siri comes kind of automatically with the phone, but is there an app for Alexa that you have to download in order to be able to talk to Alexa on an iPhone?
No, Alexa's not an iPhone. Alexa is just the device itself.
What?
It's just the device itself.
Oh, it's a freestanding...
Freestanding device, yeah.
It's not connected to your phone?
No. But there's an app to connect to set it up, but openly, we just have a conversation like you and I, the device will be sitting on a table.
So if I want to talk to Alexa, I have to buy an Alexa device in my house?
Yes.
So if I'm out on the street with my phone, I can't talk to Alexa?
Not to Alexa, but you can talk to Siri.
Yeah, I know, I talk to Siri. Siri does.
Yeah, you won't be talking to Alexa. Now, I'm sure Amazon's going to enter the market just like everybody else is, and like Comcast is now offering mobile phone service. So I'm sure down the road, Alexa is going to evolve into something else. And that's what's going to happen, is we have a crossover of products. Here's just so you can see it. That's the Echo, and the dot is kind of like that much of it. So that's that one. There's a Google Home, Siri. The HomePod I put up there because it's just not as popular yet. But that's what it works. That's what it looks like. Not much to it. Easy to set up, and it's a wealth of information. I can't believe how well it works. I honestly don't want to like it, but I do. I'm not going to put it in the house, but it's just something to keep in mind. Any other questions? Cool. Hope you all have a good night. If you have questions, feel free to ask.